Denis Villeneuve is a Canadian director and film writer, most known for his directing role in the Dune franchises. Because Villeneuve is from Quebec, most of his early films are in French, such as August 32nd on Earth and Maelstrom. Both these films explore themes of trauma, moral ambiguity, and identity, focusing on two characters after life-altering events involving a car accident. Villeneuve's breakout moment came with the film Incendies, a film focusing on a Middle Eastern family living in Montreal. After the mother dies, the twins are sent back to the Middle East to find their long-lost brother and father, uncovering their mother's traumatic past in the Middle East. This film won Villeneuve an Academy Award nomination for the Best Foreign Language Film. From there, Villeneuve started making English movies, while continuing the themes of realism and individual purpose. Villeneuve's movies from the mid-2010s, such as Prisoners, a movie about a detective finding his daughter, and Sicario, a movie about an FBI-boarded drug bust, explore violence not as a spectacle, but as something systematic and corrosive. Villeneuve then moved to the sci-fi genre, creating Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. Arrival won Villeneuve another Academy Award nomination, but this time for Best Director. We will analyze Blade Runner 2049 later, but for now, as a quick summary, both movies explore time, memory, and grief through futuristic, sometimes dystopian settings. These days, Villeneuve is continuing his sci-fi-like films with the world-renowned Dune franchise. We will also explore the Dune films later, but these films highlight themes of atmosphere, political power, and mythology. Overall, I think that Villeneuve's main impact as a filmmaker is his thoughtfulness and uniqueness. Villeneuve's thoughtfulness comes from his complex, almost philosophical themes, with his favorite one being fighting against the system. In almost all his movies, the bad guy isn't an individual or some team. Villeneuve's movies usually have the protagonist fighting against systems far bigger than them. In Incendies, it was war. In Prisoners, it was a failure of the police department. In Sicario, it was a bureaucracy. And in Dune, it's a feudal imperial structure. Villeneuve's films explore an individual's smallness against a power system, which is further highlighted by Villeneuve's unique auteur filmmaking style. His style emphasizes these themes through multiple techniques, such as unique framing and scale to dwarf a character, using music to disorient and overwhelm the viewer, and slow pacing to create atmosphere and meaning. For his characters, there is a lot of silence within scenes and a lot of restrained dialogue. Now, let's dive into Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner 2049 takes place 30 years after the original Harrison Ford Blade Runner. It still takes place in the future where synthetic humans are used as controlled labor. The story follows Kay, a replicant Blade Runner who is tasked with hunting down older models. While hunting, Kay uncovers a replicant who was giving a C-section birth, proving that replicates could reproduce, something thought to be impossible. This discovery threatens the foundation of the social order because if replicants can reproduce, the justification for enslaving them collapses. Kay begins to suspect that he himself might be the child, as he has memory of being in the same orphanage, with proof that he was in the orphanage. This is odd, as a replica's memory is fake, and Kay's memory is real, as confirmed by the memory replica designer Dr. Ennis Steeline. For the first time, he imagines that his life could have meaning beyond obedience. However, because he has real memory and thus failed the baseline replica test, his superior informs him that he needs to pass the test or he will be, quote-unquote, retired. As Kay searches for the truth, he encounters remnants of the old world, eventually learning that he is not the miracle child. Instead, he meets the father of the child, Deckard, who is Harrison Ford from the previous movie. The real miracle child is actually hidden to protect a larger cause. He begins to suspect that Dr. Anna Steeline is actually the miracle baby after learning that the miracle child was a girl. Instead of being the miracle child, Kay then helps Deckard reunite with his daughter, bringing him to Dr. Steeline's office. Love, the CEO's enforcer who was tasked to watch Kay's actions, tries to stop Deckard from reuniting his daughter, leading to a climax fight between Kay and Love, which leads to Love's death. Deckard is able to reunite with Anna. However, Kay dies because of the injuries he sustained in the fight. The film's analysis centers on identity and systems of control. Villeneuve presents a world where identity is manufactured by corporation, memory implants, and consumer relationships. Kay's emotional life feels real, but the system insists it isn't. The question goes from is Kay human to who gets to decide what counts as human. Visually, the film reinforces this idea through scale and emptiness. Characters are dwarfed through architecture, lost in fog, snow, and ruins. The world feels exhausted, beautiful, and hollow. Violence is restrained, cold, and procedural, emphasizing how normalized oppression has become in the Blade Runner world. Ultimately, Blade Runner 2049 argues that meaning doesn't come from being chosen or being exceptional, it comes from choosing, even when the system tells you that you don't matter. Cade doesn't overthrow the system, but he proves that identity can exist even inside the system.
Dune is about Paul Atreides, a smart but unsure young guy from a powerful noble family who gets thrown into a dangerous political mess with his father, Duke Leto. Is ordered by the Emperor to take control of Arrakis, the desert planet that produces spice, the most valuable substance in the universe. This is because it allows space travel and gives people heightened awareness. And from the start, the movie shows how nothing about this move is fair, since the Emperor secretly works with the brutal Harkonnen to set House Atreides up to fail, while Paul starts having intense visions of the future, the desert, and a girl named Shani. We learn that his mother Jessica is part of the Bene Gesserit, a secretive group that manipulates bloodlines and politics, and that Paul might be their long-awaited chosen one, which puts a ton of pressure on him as he trains in combat, leadership, and mental control, slowly realizing that his life isn't really his own. Once the Atreides arrive on Arrakis, the film spends a lot of time showing how dangerous the planet is through sandworms, harsh heat, and constant threats. How the spice trade is tied to colonialism and the exploitation of the native Freeman people. How Duke Leto actually wants to rule fairly, and how betrayal is everywhere. This all leads to the Harkonnens launching a massive surprise attack that kills Leto, destroys the Atreides army, forces Paul and Jessica to flee into the desert, and confirms that the story is less about heroism and more about survival and power. As Paul and Jessica struggle through the desert, they are hunted, tested, and pushed to their limits, with Paul's visions becoming clearer and more violent as he starts to understand that his future could lead to massive war. And after escaping multiple threats, they finally encounter the Freeman, where Paul proves himself by killing Jameis in ritual combat, choosing to stay with the Freeman, and symbolically stepping into a new life, while the movie ends with not a big victory, but with the quiet realization that Paul's destiny is just beginning.